You know a word I don't like? Nuance.
Damage that you would expect based on your level from 1 through 20 per round.
DPR.
Damage per round.
DPR.
DPR.
Now I'm something of a data scientist myself, and I take umbrage at the lack of complexity in the damage optimization discussions. Now, to be fair, this is my ideal combat encounter. I like Nova damage, and it's an incredibly effective strategy to defeat your opponent before they can even hurt you. This video is about Nova damage in D&D 5th edition, and why DPR is probably not the best statistic for it. This is where a theme would go if I gave a shit about YouTube. But before I get too deep, I want to repeat what many others have said before. Single target Nova damage is not the end all be all, so don't get it twisted. Number one priority, the relationships with the other people at your table. And number two, there's plenty of other potent strategies in D&D than single target Nova damage. You just gotta have fun. And what's fun for me is creating an app. Okay, what matters most in Nova is doing enough damage before an enemy can act. Well, DPR tells me how much damage I can know. DPR tells you how much damage you would do if you took an action an infinite number of times and took the average. But you're not fighting an enemy an infinite number of times. You have one shot.
One opportunity.
It's nicer to know how likely you'll be to do a certain amount of damage. And you say, oh my god, I'm not a math person. First of all, are you not a language person? Everyone communicates. Everyone uses logic too, which is math. There's no such thing as a math person or not. So cut the crap, Buster. Plus, I made an app for you that literally does it. So get him, loser. Treant Monk and many others like to talk about how a Blaster Warlock has baseline damage in 2014. Let's think about a level 1 Warlock with 4 different options to spend their spell slot. I'll give us the benefit of the doubt and say that we get a surprise round so we can take 2 turns before an enemy can act. The first option is Hex and Eldritch Blast twice. Second is Eldritch Blast twice and Hellish Rebuke. Third option is Guiding Bolt for 2014 Celestial Warlocks and Eldritch Blast. And then the fourth option is 2024 Witch Bolt and Eldritch Blast. So if you want to skip the app demo and go straight to the data analysis, go ahead, but you should look at the app. That's what's cool. All right, we go to the website. Now, before you say a frickin' thing about UX or GUI or performance, Daddy, chill. It's in alpha, and you should give me feedback in the comments. Also, give it a good control minus, wrong window. Control minus, and 80%. And the reason you do it in the window is whenever I did this in the HTML, it you would click and it wouldn't click where you clicked, it'd click at 80% of where you clicked. I don't know. I'm not a computer scientist. And so that's what you just got to deal with. And it doesn't work on mobile, really. I mean, it works, it loads, but it is not optimized at all in that it looks weird and the formatting is funky. But if someone can help me figure that out, that'd be fantastic. Anyways, okay, so here's the app. And we're looking at Eldritch Blast. Default AC is 14 and 5 attack roll modifier, which is what you want because it's generally what people have been using. Granted, I mean, you could use AC 13, which is kind of pack tactics standard. It doesn't really matter. Point is, just be consistent across the different ones. So we're using 60% chance to hit with AC 14 attack roll modifier 5, and we are casting Eldritch Blast, which is a D10, 1d10. We're also using Hex as our first comparison, so we're going to add a damage rider, and it's going to be 1d6. So that is 1 Hex with Eldritch Blast, and then we're going to do it twice. That's bottom one just adds identical action. So yeah, that's that. Now we're going to save it, as Hex plus Eldritch Blast times 2. Okay, so I messed up, and I don't know, I messed up. So I am coming back, and with a saving throw of Hellish Rebuke, we want to make sure that and this is probably an indication that I need to change the UI. We want to indicate that it's half damage on save. It's a dexterity saving throw. It's DC 13 because 8 plus 2 plus 3 from Charisma modifier is 13. And we probably should assume that the enemy has some dex modifier, but I don't know. I don't want to, so we're not. And you can do this on your own and add a damage modifier or a saving throw modifier for the enemy, and go ahead. But right now, this is my Hellish Rebuke, 2d10, half damage on save, DC 13. Enemy has a 0 modifier to save. It should not have a damage modifier to hit. I make sure that you don't mess that up. And so that is that would just be your Hellish Rebuke, but now we also get 2. Oh my gosh, we get 2 attacks. And so we add our Hellish Rebuke to our D10 with no damage rider, and we do that twice, and then we save that as Hellish Rebuke plus EB times 2. EB stands for Eldritch Blast. I hope that was clear. Okay. Now, third, we do a Guiding Bolt, which is going to be a 2d6, sorry, 46 to hit, and then 46 damage. It's a plus 5 to hit, whatever. And then when you hit Guiding Bolt, before the end of Eric's turn, if no one else uses the advantage, you can use the advantage. So I'm going to use the advantage and say, now we do our next Eldritch Blast with advantage. And that is that. That is Guiding Bolts plus Eldritch Blast times 1. And finally, we're doing Witch Bolt, 2024 Witch Bolt. And that is 2d12 of damage from that, and then an additional 1d10. And then an additional d12 from the bonus action Witch Bolt on your second turn. So I don't really have a great way to just guarantee do 1d12 damage, but what I'm going to do is say, like, basically, technically they have a very small chance to save on this. They have a 0.05 or 1 in 400 chance. But whatever. 99.5% of the time, they're going to take a d12 of damage. And so that concludes our entering of all the damage, where we have Hex, Hellish Rebuke, Guiding Bolt, and now Witch Bolt, plus Eldritch Blast times 1. But you get the Witch Bolt bonus action. Okay, so now, we're pausing the video, we're turning off current comparison, we're downloading the data. Now let's look at this graph. If you want to follow along, I included the CSV file in the video description, so you can import here. I'm calling it Warlock Demo, and it is all the data that we just entered. I'm hiding current comparison because you don't want this to, you just want to look at what we looked at. So, I'm seeing kind of 3 main takeaways here. One are like the actual Warlock takeaways. Hex which is this orange one. Not great, as proven or argued by Pack Tactics 3 years ago. And the new 2024 Witch Bolt is quite great for Nova damage, especially as a level 1 option for a Warlock. I mean, giving you a 80% chance to do 16 damage, I mean, that's going to kill most level 1 enemies that you come up against. And, you know, that brings us kind of to our other discussion of point number 2 of the takeaways, which is the stats. So here we're looking at something called minimum damage probability, which is the cumulative distribution. It's like the inverse cumulative distribution function. So you have a 99% chance with Witch Bolt to do at least 1 damage. But as you can see, like, that's a lot more useful to know. Okay, if the enemy has 20 health, I have a 2/3 chance to kill him if I, do these series of actions. Versus if you just look at DPR. Now this app will tell you DPR, but and it's not to say like DPR is useless, but it's just not really the whole story. And you can see here it's like roughly in the middle of sort of these distributions, but not exactly. And I'm gonna make another math video about why that is and kind of how to think about it, but. Basically, most of the time, give or take, DPR is going to be at about the 50th percentile of damage. So you only have a 50% chance to do as much damage as the DPR is telling you, which is like not that great. And that's why it's not very good as well for like calculating survivability, right? If you say, okay, this monster has 50 health and I do 25 DPR, that means it's going to take me 2 rounds to kill it. Well, no, because again, you only have 50% chance to do as much damage as the DPR. So really what you should do is use this minimum damage probability, and you can look at you can look at these damage distributions. These are the probability mass functions. I don't know. I think there's another video needed for the math, but basically I think that when looking at Nova damage, this minimum damage probability is probably the most useful statistic of like, okay, well, if I need to do 20 damage, I have a 66% chance if I do Witch Bolt. Which, again, another thing to sort of look at here is like sort of the ratio between different actions. It's like, if you do Eldritch Blast, you have a 18.2% chance of doing 20 damage. You're 3 times more likely to do 20 damage, at least 20 damage, with Witch Bolt. So, and you can do that for any damage number. So I think that's useful. I think that my app is pretty frickin' cool. You can share these files with people and like download and compare and hit the UI again. We can navigate, we can iterate, we can improve. There's an advanced layout coming where you can actually like depending on what class you are, so like say you're a level 5 cleric, you have these spells. Lots to come, you can use different weapons in your hands and offhand. The like weapon juggling that the underscore twig video put out, I think will be complicated to implement. And things like sneak attack when you have multiple turns. I've already it isn't okay. There's a lot to talk about here, but I just wanted to make the point about DPR in this video and sort of showcase what this application can do, even if in its alpha version. So hopefully, as you level up and creating a new character, you think of more than just DPR when calculating damage, and use this tool. I want it to always be free, and that's not going to change, or have ads or anything. But if it gets enough traffic to I'm using shinyapps, which I'm on a free account with them. But eventually, if I get enough traffic, that they'll want me to upgrade and pay for more server usage. So if that occurs, if this is popular enough, I probably will ask for people to help me out financially just to pay for it, because I don't want to pay to have people use my tool. So yeah, but I don't want to have you like paying me to like do certain things. You know, you're not my boss. I'm doing this because I like it, and let's keep it that way. So I'm thinking of making a more mathy video about like probability mass functions, the central limit theorem, and you know, basically all the math went into this, as well as because I actually love very interesting stuff about Fourier transforms. But also I want to make a coding video because this is the first like application I built, so that's kind of fun. And yeah, let me know additional ideas you have for features and interface, and how to like data scrape stuff a little better. But yeah, you can download and share people's character stuff, and so the link's in the description. Thank you very much. Goodbye.